they did a really nice job. I don't think we had one complaint on Thanksgiving. With the budget for 2026 and reserve plan and capital funds all approved now by the board, internally we've been meeting to set the reserve and capital expense allocation schedule. So we have, I don't know, $4 or $5 million set aside in 2026, and we can't just spend it all in January. So we got to figure out, for cash flow purposes, how to plan all those projects. I don't think our year's as busy as it was this year, but there's still quite a bit on the schedule next year in terms of improvement projects, renovations, and just replacement and repair work. I had the opportunity to participate in the December 10th Realtor Forum. HOA 1 was the host there. Had a pretty good turnout. HOA 1 provided lunch, had the opportunity to talk to the realtors about Saddlebrook 2, and I thought it was a really good event. Anytime we have the opportunity to meet with the realtors, it's important that we try and work on the same team and make sure that the information they have is correct. Employee Appreciation Day was held on December 12th. That's the day when the entire employee team gets together, and there's an employee committee that raises funds, donations for the employee team. Every employee gets some type of cash gift for the holiday, and I think that's the greatest effort. I've never been in a community that had an employee appreciation committee, so I think that's really cool, and the employees really appreciated the whole event. Just general information, the average home sale price in November was about $636,000. Our workers' compensation policy renews January 1st. We had a good year last year. Our mod rate, which is one of the factors that determines the premium, went down from 110 to 108, so it's in a good direction. And if we have a good year this year, it should drop below 100 next year, which is good. Our master package of policies, our D&O, our property or casual and liability, all that's a big package of policies that expires on February 1st, and we're out to market right now. We're also looking into heaters on the preserve deck. We had a few people tell us recently that they'd go out and enjoy the preserve deck if there were heaters out there. And we packaged up a little project and sent it up the pipeline, so we'll see what transpires there in the next couple weeks. We'd like to see that project get done because it's unused now, and if there was heat out there, I think people would enjoy it. The exit sign and monument on Edwin Road is scheduled for refurbishment in January. If you've noticed, we've pretty much gone after all of the signage in the community, in some areas replacing it or renovating them. I think signage is important. It's what everybody sees, so we're finally getting to the Edwin Road sign monument. And the Firewise program is on a good track. We have a meeting this week with the SPAC to talk about that and the Firewise team a little bit, but it looks like if everything goes okay, we could be Firewise certified either late Q1 or early Q2 in 2026, and the Firewise committee that's part of SPAC has done a really great job on that. So all good news, and that's all I have to report.
Any board comments or questions for Darren? Okay, we're going to invite Bill to the stage.
Janine, if I could. For anybody in the audience that doesn't know what SPAC is, that's the Saddlebrook Public Affairs Commission. And Jan Howard, sitting over here, is our chairperson. And they have been doing a lot of great work. And Firewise is one of those initiatives that they've been championing this year. So I want to say thanks to Jan.
Okay,
This is bigger than I remember. It's been since March since I've had to hold this thing. I'm Bill McGinn, Director of Operations and Facility Maintenance. New grandfather as 5 days ago. Thank you. And still all around good guy. I feel sorry for that grandkid. Can I get the next slide, Rick? Okay, so this is going to be a surprise to me because Darren did a edit and didn't send me the edits. So at the end of the year, I like to talk about a lot of the projects that we completed for the year. And unless you've been living under a rock, Saddlebrook 2 has undergone a lot of projects. So I'm going to start right here with Desert View. The side lights going up the stairs, a fantastic addition. I haven't heard anybody tripping and falling, so I thought that was a good addition. Painting the stage, taking care of the Mariposa and Paloma rooms, doing a lot of exterior repairs and paint, and come next year, we're going to concentrate on the pool area. Last year, I got a lot of inquisitive questions about the preserve. Why aren't we giving any love to the preserve? So this year, I made sure that we put a lot of effort into fixing that place up. It's got a complete exterior paint throughout the whole building, which I thought was an excellent upgrade for that place. It really needed it. We redid the pool area, all new surface in the pool, deck, spa. You got new gates up there, brought us up to compliance with safety, which I thought we really needed. You got a new court resurfaced up there. And hopefully, 2 new bathrooms repainted out on the patio. And as Darren mentioned, we're looking into putting in heaters on the patio out back so you can enjoy watching people miss the hole on 18 coming in. Let's see what else we got. So that's those 2 areas, but thank you. Now I'm up to date. That's good. I mean, I could go on and on with the stuff that we've done as far as little things go, but the big projects that we got going on that we got, you cut me off already? Okay. So the big project, Mountain View, I mean, unless you have been asleep, the work that we did at Mountain View, and I'll just start with the pool because that's where we started this year. It got resurfaced. I know it was a little bit of a headache because we had it shut down in November and then reopened and then shut down again in March, but it was a surface that had to be redone. It was a project that I took a lot of heat for, but that's okay. I'm used to it. We painted all the gates. Or painted all the fencing, painted the gates, painted your light poles. We took care of the event lawn. You got all new lights all the way around there, new grass, a new curbing. The stage got resurfaced. And if you ever used the back patio at the Mountain View Bar and Grill, we got rid of your string lights running across the ceiling, and I think we changed everything on the interior to LED lights, which is, I'm hoping to save quite a bit of money throughout the next year. That being said, a lot of big projects there. I mean, you're looking new carpet, new paint. We're refurbishing the bathrooms. The first 2 that came out, I think they came out really good. I hope everybody's pleased with them. Very functional. And then to mention a bunch of the little projects that we did throughout, all the automatic door openers, welcome mats. I mean, I could go on and on. And if you go through the slides, I had a list of about 10 slides of projects that I did. But the thing that I'm most proud of is, of course, this time of year is my team. We did over 1,200 work orders this year using the new Upkeep application, and I thank each and every one of you that submitted something through the QR code. It makes it so much easier. I mean, to have the crew do 1,200 work orders is just amazing. And as you go through the slides, you can kind of see all the work that we take care of. But without the help of the in-house team that we have, that saves us tens of thousands of dollars a year, if not hundreds, taking care of things in-house. I've got a great maintenance team ran by Denny Campbell, who takes care of all your resort pool areas here in the morning. They're here at 3:30 in the morning, checking chemicals, checking heaters, rearranging your deck furniture, getting the decks cleaned off, cleaning out or blowing off the courts. You've got a custodial team led by Desiree Van Story, and that lady has come a long way from about a year ago. But she's got a team that's dynamic. They keep your restrooms clean, keep everything stocked. I can't thank them enough because they make my job so much easy, and I really appreciate them. But they're here for you folks, and that's what they want to do. So they get going. Right there's your custodial team. The handsome gentleman on the left is me. Then you got Todd, Sarah, Shannon, Janice, Nancy. There's Desiree in the middle, and BB. Fantastic crew. Could you go back to the maintenance slide? Motley crew right there. You got Roy, Vinny, Jerry, Kevin. Denny's the guy in the middle. He's the short one, not kneeling down. DJ is kneeling, Brad, Joe, everybody knows Doug, I would think, and another handsome devil. So, I mean, you can't thank these people enough, and we really appreciate last Friday and your show of kindness, and I really want to thank you. At this time, I'd be happy to take any questions. See how awesome I do? No questions.
Thank you, all around good guy and new grandfather. So I'm going to ask Terry to come up and give his financial update. We've been looking at ways to get the information across, especially the highlights. And I know all the finance committee gets all the details, so they can dig into the details before their meeting in 2 days.
Okay, good afternoon. We're going to run through November financials. First screen here we're looking at is our cash and investments at November 30th. Cash and investments in operating is $2.5 million. Reserve fund is $7.7 million, and capital improvement fund 1.4. So it gives us a total of $11,706,000, which at this point is 6.9% better than what it was in November of '24. Okay, next slide. Next slide is our reserves. The left column shows which complex we had the work done in. We budgeted $4.4 million, and through November we've spent $2.9 million, which includes part of the Mountain View renovation we heard about. Our other CapEx expenditures were budgeted $765,000, and to date we've spent $526,000 with that. In total, CapEx budget is $5.2 million for this year, and we have spent $3.4 million year to date. Okay, next slide. So on our next slide, it's our projected reserve spend. We're looking at $3.9 million as a reserve spend. Everything else will be carried over, or we will spend it in December. So this is everything through November. Our projected spend is $578,000. Sorry, that's a bad note. Our total projected spend is $4,500,000, and we've currently spent 76% of that, which is $3.4 million. Okay, our next slide. So this is our operations projections. I compare our reforecast, which was done at July, to what our 2025 projections are. Our HOA dues generate $11.5 million in revenue. There's been $8.1 million allocated to operations, as you'll see here, and $3.4 million gets allocated to our reserves. What I'm reporting here is our operations only, not reserves. We have revenue allocation of $8.1 million, as I mentioned. Our other revenue comes in at $393,000, and revenues from the amenities, which are golf and F&B and fitness and such. That revenue comes in at $8.3 million. So we have total operations revenue of $16.8 million. This is $277,000 under what we had reforecasted in July. But our managers have been working hard to keep our costs under control, and our expenses are $16.2 million. Next slide, please. Sorry, this is our expenses. So our expenses are $16.2 million, and we are $207,000 better than what we had reforecasted in our expenses. Sorry. This gives us a projected net operating income of $646,000. Is $70,000 under what we reforecasted, but it is better than we had budgeted by $334,000. So much better than what we had anticipated when we were coming into 2025. So it's been a good year. Next slide. So these are our actual results for operations. So November year-to-date revenue is $7.8 million, which is 6% better than what it was in 2024 at this time, and $195,000 better than what we had budgeted. Net amenity subsidies to date is $986,000, which is 33% better than what it was in 2024, but we are trailing budget by $78,000. And our operating expenses are 8.8% worse than what it was in 2024, but a lot better than budget by $284,000. So total year-to-date, our net income is $594,000 through November, which is better than 2024 by 244% and $400,000 better than what we had budgeted. Okay. Last slide. This is the allocation of where the dues go. So year to date through November, collected $3,300 per rooftop. So we allocate that. Restaurants got $90 of that, which is 3%. Reserves is $1,096, which is 33% of it. Patrol, $99. Common area maintenance, $504, which is 15%. Lifestyle is $30. Facilities, $521, which is 16%. G&A is $772, and fitness is $11, and golf is $176, which is 5%. Okay. That's what I have for today. I wish you all and your families a happy holiday season, and all this information can be found on the website. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
Okay.
Any comments from or questions of Terry from the board? Okay, next is the treasurer's comments. Brad, would you like to provide your thoughts?
Sure. First, one comment to Terry about his employee, David Castro. I know what a sly look looks like when David makes it. I walked into the office last week and asked him if he had any checks to sign, and he looked like he was the cat that just ate the canary. He said, sure. I go back, he's got a pile of checks. There was over 1,000 checks that had to be signed primarily for the employee appreciation. So I apologize for the scribbly signatures. The purpose of me speaking at these monthly board meetings is to try to emphasize the big picture. It's very easy for those members that are not as involved in the details as some in the audience, and certainly some up here. But we have three funds, if you will, and when you combine them, our net income before depreciation this year is going to be somewhere just south of $5 million. Our net income before depreciation is going to be somewhere just short of $5 million. Next year, the same number is going to be just a little bit less than $6 million. That money is what goes into capital projects, reserve maintenance projects, etc. Our run rate over the next 10 years is going to be higher than it is after that, because Darren and the team are having to continue to dig out from some of the things we inherited from the transition from Robeson back in 2018 or whenever it was. But that said, even with the catching up that we're doing and the ongoing maintenance on stuff that has not been deferred, we still have somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million per year cushion over what's needed. Any rumors you hear out there that say we have unfunded reserves or we can't afford to maintain things, it couldn't be further from the truth. And to repeat what I went through last month very briefly, how did we get from a year and a half ago to now? It was basically three things. You, the members, invested $5 million into the community a little over a year and 4 months ago. We were able to get, with expert advice from Troon and outside irrigation experts that do this thing nationally for golf courses, we were able to get comfortable with deferring the rebuild of the preserve project until 2031. That took a lot of effort, and it took a lot to get everybody comfortable with it, but that's where we got to. That saved us about $5 million in cash position come 2029. And then we saved another $5 million over the next 5 years by beating budget having tighter budget for upcoming years, being able to generate net income from the operating fund, put it towards reserves, the slight increase in the CIF, as well as more interest income, because we have between 12 and $16 million that can earn interest depending upon the time of the year. So from a balance sheet standpoint, from our ability to maintain our assets at a high level, and believe me, I'm signing some awfully big checks and it hurts, but the money's there and the money's going to continue to be there. And we're going to continue to focus on budget discipline. One of the huge advantages of Darren and his new team is that we're still learning, but things are much tighter than they have been ever in the past. And that is what's creating this glide path where there is no reason to believe there's going to be a need for any special assessments. There's no reason to believe that we're going to need dues increases up and beyond whatever inflation is doing to us. Hopefully that helps you all.
Thank you, Brad. The next topic is we have some proposed committee charters, and I'd like to give you a little background. In 2024, all of the advisory committees revised their charters. However, they were never approved by the board. If you look at those posted on the website, they range anywhere from 2018 through 2024, and even though the 2024 versions were not approved by the board, some of them are in fact posted. We plan to approve those that were written in 2024, so we have a standard charter in the revised template, which the 2024 team also did. They revised the charter template, and we'll have that going into 2026. We realize that we may need to modify some of these committee charters in 2026 as we are moving toward more strategic goals for which the board requires advisory committee support. So this is just a little bit of housekeeping, and I described it to someone who asked me as the madness to our method, or the method to our madness, to make sure we're all at the same starting point as we move into 2026 and make those changes to align with strategic opportunities. I'd like to take two of them individually and then all the remaining charters on the agenda that were modified in 2024 as a single group. I have postponed the charter for the unit reps until I can meet with the 2025 chair and secretary tomorrow. We'll bring that to the January 6th board organization meeting. I didn't think it would be fair to vote on it and then have the meeting with them and say, what do you think of this? So we'll do that tomorrow. So the audit committee, I think we can go to a next slide. Okay, we'll go right there. The audit committee is a new committee to support the board in fulfilling its fiduciary duties. Has the board read the new charter for audit? Do I have a motion to approve the new committee?
I move we approve as written.
I second the motion.
Okay, any discussion among the board members? Any comments or questions from our members? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The second one I'm taking separately was not even a committee in 2024. The Facilities Planning Committee, which was added in 2025, had their charter approved in May of 2025. The charter before us has been revised to allow up to 11 committee members at the request of the chair due to the backlog of work that came out of the Facilities Planning Task Force. Did everybody get a chance to read the revised charter? Do I have a motion to approve increasing the members and approving the charter?
I make a motion to approve the request to increase the number of FPC members along with the proposed revision to the charter.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Board comment or questions? Comment or questions from our members? All right, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. You have a comment? Oh, okay, I'm calling for the vote, and he's already got his hand up. I'm calling for the vote. All in favor? Okay. Any opposed? No. Well, we got that one taken care of. Now the next slide, if you will. Okay, Rick, that's the list of committee charters that we have. The architecture and landscape, fitness, wellness, recreation, finance, rules and regulations, golf, and SPAC, which is the Saddlebrook Public Affairs. I want to say Policy Affairs, Public Affairs Commission. I did notice some typos in that charter with the SPBAC, so I think we're going to need to make some typo changes on that. Charlie, can you take a note? And then do I have a motion to approve the 6 charters dated in 2024?
Before I make the motion, Janina, I want to make a correction, and this has been going on for multiple years. The correct name is the Architectural and Landscaping Committee. It all of a sudden got abbreviated to landscape. We don't know why, but we want to go back to Architectural and Landscaping Architectural and Landscaping Committee. I would like to make a motion that we approve the 5 committee charters and 1 commission charter as proposed.
With those corrections?
Absolutely.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion among the board. Anything from our members? Okay, let's call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? It carries. The next item is a change in the Employee Appreciation Committee. During our efforts to more fully document procedures, guidelines, and templates to assist the current and future board members, we will include this definition for work group in our 2026 board manual. A work group is a group focused on a single recurring event and requiring a small number of members. Work groups include association members appointed by the president and work with staff appointed by the COO. No board vote is required for these work groups. Our board liaison, one board liaison is appointed for each work group. A statement of work is required in lieu of a charter approved by the president and the COO. I discussed this designation with Roger Sweat, who is the chair, the current chair, and has been chair for many years, and he agrees with the new classification. Everybody get a chance to read that? Do I have a motion to approve changing the employee appreciation to a work group?
I make a motion that we approve the change of the Employee Appreciation Committee to a work group.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion, questions, concerns among the board? How about our members? I don't see Roger in there, but we did talk about it a month ago. Okay, let's take a vote on that. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? It carries. All right. We have some proposed new policies that have already been out for 21-day review, and we'll take these one at a time in case there are any corrections or anything of the sort. So let's move to the records retention policy. Any corrections or changes for that one?
Just one clarification under the tax return retention policy, that it should also state the payroll tax returns.
We'll make a note of that. Charlie? Okay. Now, do I have a motion to approve this?
I make a motion to approve it with the addition of what Larry just stated regarding the payroll tax added.
Second.
Any discussion among the board? Any comment from members? All right, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? It carries. All right, the next one is the investments policy, and I believe there were some, I know at least one typo. Sherry?
I would make a motion to approve the investment policy, however, making any needed grammatical or typo changes, adjustments that will not in any way change the wording or intent of the policy.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion among the board? Anyone from the membership? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. The next one is the amenity usage and rental policy that's been out for 21 days. I know we had some questions on it. I'm sure they got some answers on that. Do we have any other edits to that one, Sherry?
Once again, we had just input mostly on grammatical and spelling or typo errors, and so those have been fixed and would approve the policy with those changes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any comment from the board? How about the membership? Okay, let's call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? It carries. And I think that concludes the three that went through 21 day. And now we're going to be looking at the ALC guidelines. Bruce, are you speaking to that for us? Great.
I'm Bruce Shapey, the chair of the ALC. Oh, closer. I'm Bruce Shapey, chair of the ALC. Can you get the next slide, please? I just wanted to say this is not. This was from last month, or from when we sent it forward last month.
I thought it'd be good to have some background versus no background at all.
Oh, this was not what I supplied. Okay. Okay, so anyway, just to go back to what we had submitted back in October, the villas were allowed to have focal points versus focal trees, and fewer of them, one per roof line. We added some new wording related to units 44B regarding their walls. Going on to number 3. There's some new gate designs. We allowed, certain fixtures for lights after 10, as long as they're dark sky compliant. Security lighting was allowed to be as long as it was temporarily activated. And we added in a section regarding antennas. Move on to the next. No rush service. We completely rewrote the section on our notices. We have informational notices, courtesy notices, and notices of violation. So that went out. We had a total of 16 comments that we received, and I don't think there's any more. I had that on the slides I sent. Next slide, please. So anyway, they were posted for 21 days. We received comments from 16 different people. Most of them were grammatical or kind of attaboys. We had one set of comments from an individual who used AI to evaluate the changes, which I thought was interesting. Gave us a lot to think about. And so there were some changes made in regard to that just to smooth some things out. So anyway, in the end, we ended up taking out one section. We had added something about pre-approval of permits, and we removed that. So anyway, with all that, we are ready for the board to approve.
I would like to make a motion that the board approve the proposed revisions to the Architectural and Landscaping Committee guidelines.
Thank you, Sean.
I second the motion.
Any comments or further from the board?
Tons and tons and tons of work, hours went into the revisions to make it easier for our residents to understand and make it clear. And I would like to especially thank Bruce Shapey and Kathy Nordine, our co-chairs for the Architectural Landscaping Committee, for all their hard work. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you. Any comments from our members? All right, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of as amended? Any opposed? None. All right. Well, it's 2:48, so let's go. I'm going to go ahead and try this and see if this works for you. In the interest of time, I'd like to conditionally approve this full batch of new policy drafts. Does any board member have a reason to pull any of these back from the vote? Okay, the 4 that we're going to send out for 21-day review include member club policy, an online privacy policy, the procurement policy, and revenue billing and receipts. Do I have a motion to send these out for 21-day review?
I so move.
I'll second.
Okay, any comment from the board? Any concerns with this approach from our members?
I apologize for not understanding what the member policy completely delineates.
Okay. Right now, there's a member policy that discusses what is a registered club, what is a licensed club. Like, let's see, which one is our licensed? Our softball is a licensed club. Dog park is a licensed club. So there's, and then there's a bunch of registered clubs. Like I'm part of the Sonoran Singers. We're a registered club. And there's rules and regulations about re-upping every year and things of that nature. And so it was it's an old policy. I can't remember what year it was last updated. And we've separated out the procedures part of it, which is handled by our lifestyle director. And we're just moving forward with policy, a rewrite of that policy.
And all we're doing is sending it out to the members so they can read it for 21 days, make comments, and then we'll come back and have a final vote.
I appreciate that. I represent Easy Riders, the exercise bike club, and I just wanted to make sure this is not where you're talking about including HOA 1.
This has nothing to do with HOA 1.
Thank you
This
very
is just
much.
any club that's
Okay,
registered.
your name and unit number, sir? Who are you?
I apologize.
It's okay.
I'm Peter Baragona, and I am a member of Unit 49, a wonderful unit, and
That's right. Peter,
well
it's okay. You can
represented
sit
on the
down.
board. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
President Grippo, I'm going to ask that anybody that comes to the mic gives us their name and their unit number today, especially today.
Okay, thank you. So, no, any other comments? All right, let's call for the vote to send all 4 for member comment. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, it passes. Then the next item is proposed revisions to bylaws. I noted when I last looked at the bylaws that the section on board elections was outdated, and we had not followed that process in many years, if ever. I made the recommended changes to reflect what we actually do for elections and our recent decision at our board, our June 24th, 25 board meeting, where the board motion dissolved the election committee as a standing committee. So that happened in June. That standing committee did in fact run this most previous election, but now it has been dissolved. Additionally, Sherry requested some clarification for the role of secretary since it did not match what she was doing as a board secretary. The proposed revisions were sent to our attorney, Jason, and Darren made some corrections before it went to the attorney, and I agreed with the modifications that Darren and Jason recommended. Does any board member have a reason to pull this back from the vote to go to a 21-day comment? Okay. Do I have a motion to move this forward to a 21-day member comment?
I so move.
Second?
I second the motion.
Sherry seconded. Okay. Any questions or concerns from our members? Okay. Seeing none, let's call for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? It carries. Our final topic of the day, and I wanted to leave plenty of time for it, is the reciprocal use agreement. This topic has been percolating in the community for most of this year and was discussed at the recent December 10th Realtor event. The realtors present at that time asked us to address it sooner rather than later. I have invited the president of HOA 1 to attend today's meeting. Hi, Tom. And Brad, are you going to lead this discussion for us?
Yes, I picked the short straw, so here we go. Let me preface the formal presentation with just a couple of real quick comments. This board is not in the process of canceling the existing reciprocal agreement. We have an agreement that was entered into back in 2021. It had been amended by something that HOA 1 required in the new agreement, which exempted their largest asset, golf, from the reciprocal. And a lot of people don't really know that that's happened. And as we've grown since 2021, we are having some issues with some of our capacity and amenities, and that's forcing us to, like HOA 1 was looking after the interests of their members in 2021, we have to look after the interests of our members, and you'll hear what you're going to hear over the next 5-10 minutes. This board has met with legal counsel, and because it's a legal matter involving contracts. This has been a 2-month process, and the board has approved this presentation in detail. In a perfect world, we would like residents of each HOA to enjoy all the facilities and amenities that the total community provides. We would love for everybody to enjoy all the variety of clubs, events, dining, games, entertainment. Not interrupt the long-standing friendships, team activities across the 2 HOAs. And we would want everybody to benefit from the redundancy when we have maintenance shutdowns of a swimming pool, tennis courts, fitness, etc. Unfortunately, things are changing, and we have to adjust our thinking. The current reciprocal agreement, the first question that came up within the board is, why now? Why don't we kick this can down the road? That way we wouldn't have to have this meeting, at least not now. We're facing capacity constraints right now. The new Facilities Planning Committee is trying to sort out where we need capital. Do we need capital? We've got real estate market impacts, creating an unfair competitive advantage for one HOA versus the other. And as I mentioned, we're trying to do long-term planning. A couple examples you'll hear later on. In the last 4 months, we've been asked for $552,000 to expand the capacity of pickleball. Well, 30% of the pickleball players are not HOA2 residents. We don't have enough meeting rooms. It goes on and on and on. To continue on that line, the next slide, if it's not, yeah. The hot button areas where we have constraints, and if we don't do something about the reciprocal agreement, we're looking at $5 to $10 million in capital improvements to meet the demand for these facilities. Fitness centers. We have people trying to register at 4 a.m. in the morning to get their time in the fitness center or with trainers, and they're not getting it. Fitness classes, fitness centers, same issue. Pickleball, I just discussed. Meeting rooms. We don't have enough meeting rooms for our committees sometimes, let alone all the card clubs, the game clubs, Mahjong, whatever. And then there's the dance clubs and some classes that I'm not all that familiar with, but apparently a lot of people take advantage of it. And again, as this slide points out, in 2021, HOA 1 excluded golf facilities, and we did as well, but they were driving the issue. Golf was excluded from the RUA because they were concerned about some issues like tee time compaction, etc. We're facing the same issues. We are, I don't know how many homes larger now than we were in 2021, and we're going to be built out in the next couple years, but we're not the same membership that we were in 2021. Just as in 2021, they didn't have the same constraints that they had 8 years prior, or whatever the term was for the previous RUA. The current reciprocal agreement, real estate market impacts. HOA 1 promotes all HOA 2 facilities without referencing the RUA, creating confusion for realtors and prospective buyers. HOA 1 members, for the time being, pay lower dues while enjoying HOA 2 amenities, creating an unfair marketing advantage for them and their homes versus us and our homes. HOA 1 receives significantly more benefit. It's not even close from the RUA than HOA 2 does, due to our unique assets, amenities, and the much larger number and space of facilities we maintain. Remember I was telling you we spend about $5 million on maintaining stuff? That's what you are paying into every year, just to maintain what we already have by replacing tennis courts, etc. The long-range planning impacts. The unknown future of the RUA complicates long-range planning and strategy for both communities. Pickleball Spa keeps asking for investment in added capacity, and understandably so. HOA2 members can't get class and personal training time and fitness. Committees and social groups running up against insufficient room availability. Again, HOA2 member cost would continue to rise if we try to expand facilities to meet these capacity demands. So in other words, we are spending more of our members' money every year to maintain a disproportionate amount of assets, either in total or per household. And we would also have to spend millions of dollars for capacity increases in order for our members to be able to use facilities when they want to use them. Current reciprocal agreement. How do we create clarity of future for the sake of both parties and home buyers? We want to keep the perfect world scenario as a possibility without crippling the HOA2 vision. The vision that has been established 2 years ago, I think it was, and we have to use this as our North Star. Everything we do has to reconcile with that vision, and that's for HOA2 to be the community of choice for active adults in southern Arizona. It's kind of hard to do that when we give away our facilities to essentially a competitor in the real estate market. Maximize HOA2 member experience as well as home values. Minimize negative impact to HOA2 members in case HOA1 doesn't support a fair RUA. Ensure transparency and confidence in the market for HOA2 homes. Allow HOA1 the time to come to the table and allow members of both HOAs to adjust to possible future changes well in advance. Again, unless there was a preemptive agreement between the two HOAs, nothing is legally going to change before September of 2029. There are years to make adjustments. Current reciprocal agreement continued. Recommended action plan. And again, everybody on this board has discussed this in private with legal counsel, with Darren. We have consulted with the two recently elected board members. Gene Noble is sitting back there. They support these actions. Joe, I don't see here in the audience. Recommended action plan. Notify HOA1 and the marketplace that the current RUA will not roll over beyond its expiration date of September 2029. Set a deadline of the end of this coming year, December 31st, 2026, to allow the parties the opportunity to reach acceptable RUA terms. The board, our board, will conduct focus groups of our membership to get a sense as to what our community will accept as new terms. But we're not going to negotiate in public. We're not going to negotiate against ourselves. If new terms are not agreed upon by that time, planning should proceed assuming no RUA in place after September 2029. The slide you see here is a very rough but a reasonable attempt. Sherry put a lot of time into this. I know Matt was involved. It demonstrates the larger facilities that we have that are totally unique to ourselves. That is the far left column as you're looking at it. And then the middle column are those things that, yes, HOA1 has, but we have more of them. And then the far to your right column are the few things that HOA1 has that we do not have. And then down at the bottom, and this is not an apples to apples situation, but it's fair enough, we demonstrate the difference in dues. And it's roughly $500 per household per year as of now. That is what we all painstakingly agreed to the word. Sherry, would you like to make a motion?
That we notify HOA 1 that the current RUA will not roll over as written and to follow the action plan presented at this meeting.
Do I have a second? Matt seconded.
Matt seconded. Time for discussion.
I second the motion.
Okay, discussion from board members. Okay, let's reach to our members. When you come to the mic, please tell me which HOA 2 unit and lot you belong to. At least one. If you have more than one, that's fine.
HOA 2, Unit 29, named Chuck Kelsey. I don't understand, and I don't argue with it, I don't understand why we're going to wait 3 years. You know, we're doing this ahead of the 7th anniversary. We're going to reach agreement by December 26. Why are we waiting until December 29 or September 29? Why don't we cut it off a year after we decide what we want to do and get on with it?
We can't. This is a legal contract.
Covered in the RUA or a contract outside of the RUA?
It's the RUA. The RUA was signed and agreed to for an 8-year period. That's what HOA 2 and HOA 1 agreed to back in 21.
But if on or before the 7th anniversary or before one association notifies the other association in writing that it wishes to terminate or renegotiate, then you can go ahead.
No. Unless both parties were to agree to cut off the agreement prematurely, both parties are obligated to reciprocate what they agreed to, minus golf, through September 9th or September 10th of 2029. It's
Okay,
clear. It's clear.
I didn't read it that way, but okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've had lawyers involved, so that's pretty clear.
Chuck,
Okay, thank you.
Chuck, I don't read it that way either. But that's how the lawyers interpret the agreement. Our lawyers interpret that way.
Lawyers are a big help. Thank you.
Maureen Spence, Unit 28, Lot 50. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, stay right there. She was trying to give a comment.
If both of the HOAs can come together and agree on something, we could change it tomorrow if we had an agreement tomorrow. So if both are in agreement, it can be changed earlier than 2029. If we do not reach an agreement, we need to fulfill the terms of the agreement, which are through September 10th of 2029. I hope that answered your question.
I just have two questions. When HOA 1 exempted the golf course, was that during the original negotiations in 2021, or is that since then?
That happened, HOA 1, as I understand it, I had nothing to do with this nightmare then. HOA 1, it's my understanding, required for an RUA to continue in the 2021 agreement that golf be exempt. And they had good reasons for it. They have a very compact tee sheet, particularly this time of the year, and they could decide next year that they don't want to give HOA 2 golfers the same priority as they do their own. I suspect they're not going to change it. I'm just using that as an example, okay? But as of right now, their largest asset is not part of the RUA. Now, in theory, ours isn't either, but we welcome, as long as we have open tea times, we welcome everybody.
The other thing, you stated that our dues were about $600 more than theirs, but we also have quite a few more houses that pay these dues and that support these, don't we? Per household, right. Sorry.
Correct. Maureen, I'm not sure I understood your point, though.
When we're paying for our facilities that they're using, we're paying for so many households, correct? And HOA 1 has less households than we have. So we're putting in a lot more money than they are, and yet they're using our facilities.
But we have $500 or $600 more per household, plus an additional $700 or $800 household putting it in, which
That's
makes
what I
up
was
for the
saying.
fact that we have more households.
Yeah, thank you.
We spend a lot more money, is what it boils down to.
Hi, name's Tom Atkins, Unit 27, Lot 4. And first, I'd like to thank you guys for being on the board. I was the president of a board back in Oregon, so I understand the hard work that you're putting forth. First thing, I think it's important that we all think about community, not HOA 1, HOA 2. This is a community of new people driving into the area. They don't really see different turfs. It's a community. And I think as the meetings go on and as the planning goes on, it's really important to think about how we can improve and enhance the community and strengthen the community and not dividing it. It's crazy. We've got enough divisions outside. Let's not try to divide it. You can see from my shirt, I'm a member of the Saddlebrook Pottery Club. And we have approximately 130 members. That split of membership between 60 and 70% of our members in a HOA 1 facility are HOA 2 residents. And I have a feeling that pattern, because there are more residents in HOA 2 than HOA 1, you're going to see where there's more individual in facilities throughout the area that are from HOA 2. HOA 1 is in the process of getting a large new facility under construction. That includes additional space for our club, but dance and fitness and new technical arts. And there's no question whether it's HOA 1 or 2. It's a facility for the community, and it'd be nice as you get to the tables that that philosophy can be kept in mind. Again, I'm an HOA 2 resident voicing that.
Everybody on this board would hope that the synergies that could exist from a unified Saddlebrook community would come to bear. But we weren't the ones that exempted, for example, golf. They were not trying to split the community when they did what they felt they had to do to whom they were elected by. They had to protect their interests with their golf enterprise. And on a smaller scale, we are facing the same things, but over many different issues and different amenities. The philosophy, all of us would agree with it. But when it gets down to the particulars and what is driving the issue, the problem hasn't been created here. We're trying to address the problem, and hopefully it'll work out where everybody will compromise.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, one other point. I used to be a land use planner, and looking at the air photo, it looks like, just from a planning point of view, it's important to share facilities. HOA 2 does not have much land where they can expand facilities that they have. And particularly with Robeson adding residents to the mix at the preserve, there's going to be more pressure on the existing HOA 2 facilities. You're going to have to be addressed.
HOA 1 is landlocked. We're not quite as landlocked, but land is a real issue. And getting this sorted out is imperative, or else the facilities planning committee doesn't know what they're looking at. And when you're talking about a $4 million project at HOA 1, or we're looking at other multi-million-dollar projects here. You can't just make the decision and do it. You have to get your ducks in a row 5 years in advance, and we learned that the hard way on the preserve.
Well, it sounds like you're going to have some time to do that now, but
Yeah.
think community.
Yeah, thank you so much. We will have time to do that.
Janine, let me, if I could jump in here, sir. I believe everything that you said. I've been sitting on this board for 3 years. Is Tom here?
I'm here.
Tom's in the back. I thought
I'm talking about Tom Sokowski.
Yeah, Tom's in the back.
Yeah. Well, Tom's my friend. He's the president of HOA 1. And over the last 3 years, we've gone to breakfast and lunch, and our spouses have had dinner. We care about Saddlebrook as a complete entity. This board is elected to represent the interest of HOA 2 residents, our members, just as his board represents their members. We're facing an inflection point in Saddlebrook. Things are changing significantly outside the control of either board. This RUA process gives us the opportunity to engage in this conversation so we can create the world you're talking about. The problem in the past was the process got compressed. We're trying to create the other thing on behalf of our members. We want a lot of time to work with our friends across. What does Saddlebrook in 2035 look like when there's no ropes in here? And how are we working together as two communities to create this thing that you want? We agree with you. This is the beginning of a process for us to get there.
Yeah, and that's great. You know, it's basically two neighborhoods within one community, and working together, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you again. All right. Name and unit, please.
Janet Fabio, Unit 25. I'm also the director of the Saddlebrook Community Libraries. A couple different things. I applaud what you're doing, and I understand your concerns, but I want to make one suggestion. It seems to me that you should do the member focus groups before you notify HOA 1 about this, because I think you need to have some specific ideas about how this is going to work. At least this is my viewpoint. For example, I heard from someone that there was some consideration of maybe prioritizing who gets use of the facilities. Well, there's some situations that's not going to work. For example, tennis. First of all, I don't think there's a lot of capacity constraints with tennis right now, but we don't group ourselves according to HOA. We group ourselves according to skill levels. For example, yesterday, I was in a group of 8 people, 4 from HOA 1, 4 from HOA 2. We played at Desert View because they needed the Saddlebrook 1 courts for 2 team events. So, I mean, there's a lot of different issues. Every club operates a little differently, and I don't think it would be possible to prioritize, nor would it be, you know, in everybody's best interest to do that. And I know there's other clubs that would face a similar situation. As far as the libraries, we don't really have a capacity constraint in terms of serving both communities. Each library is a little different. I would hate to see somebody cut off from borrowing a book on low water use gardening or an audio book because they have macular degeneration just because they're from HOA 1 and they can only get it from Desert View. So I mean, I think there's some issues there, but as far as the libraries, I don't really think that we have that sort of constraint, and I don't anticipate that happening in the future. Obviously, we'd like more space for books, but that's a whole separate, that's a facilities issue. And then also, I just wanted to add, as far as the fitness centers, I personally use HOA 1 Fitness Center, which I've been going to for many years because I like the instructor, I like the times the classes are offered, they're more consistent. So I would hope on the reverse side of this that HOA 1 wouldn't cut me off from being able to use their facility or ask me to pay more or have some sort of priority system so that I could use the fitness center of my choice. So that's what I wanted to offer.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. One thing I would like to say too is we're taking an agreement that was written in 21 and trying to adapt that agreement to today's realities. And the reality is We have almost 2,000 new residents that have moved to HOA2 in the last 4 years, and we're going to have a lot more over the next 2 years. Some of these are resales, some of these are new homes. With that, every community, and HOA1 is no different, we're changing, we're evolving. And we need to have an agreement that can evolve and take care of and support our members, as well as now and in the future. So we're not trying to blow up the world, but we do want to get everybody to the table early, to have a lot of time, to make thoughtful choices, to get input from all of our residents, to be able to find that path forward that supports our members and their use.
Mona Devine, Unit 45. Thank you for taking this on now, because we've already started making decisions based on that demand, and I'll use one example. When we gave up the Mesquite restaurant, it was because of demand for fitness classes. So when you look at the money that SB2 spent, it was already under pressure for those demands. We have, square footage-wise, a lot more, and a lot of residents assume that's because we have more households. But when we did the reciprocal before, getting into the nitty-gritty of it, our square footage per household is a lot greater equitably, even if you take into account the percentage. So a lot of people in SB2 will assume, or SB1 will say, well, we have more households, so we should have more square footage. But when you look at the square footage, be it pools, be it meeting rooms, and all those things, ours is significantly higher percentage-wise, even accounting per household. So I think a lot of the residents need to keep that in mind, and it's your responsibility to represent us, and I appreciate that. It's a difficult task. I also support that we're one community, and other communities that have multiple HOAs do this successfully. It'll be hard to get our mind around it, but there's a lot of things we can do that are not going to break up friendships. And we have some things that are very equitable already that maybe we don't have to do anything. Tennis was brought up. For instance, percentage-wise by household, the tennis courts are actually pretty balanced number-wise. We have a certain number, and HOA1 does, but it matches the number of households percentage-wise. Other things are very, very unequal. And during the original agreement, a lot of the things were excluded, like HOA1 did not want us to count square footage of anything that included revenue. So for instance, this theater, we all pay for, but it was not included. They just said, well, charge more money, take in more revenue. Well, we know the money that we take in pays for entertainment and stuff, but I'm pretty sure if you crunch the numbers, it doesn't help pay for all the upholstery and everything else. So there's a lot of inequity. I think we can find a solution, still maintain community, because Saddlebrook community is important to all of us, and we can do that. So difficult task, but I support you in doing that. Thank you.
Everything Mona just said was on point, and I couldn't disagree with anything she said. I would just underscore one point. We have factions within both communities that have a certain focus on, billiards or whatever. And we're painting with a broad brush right now. And the broad brush is that the membership that elected all of us up here expect us to represent their best interest. And they are paying for a lot more broad brush than our neighbor, part real estate competitor. And those are kind of the driving forces where we're just trying to get to a point where he's saying, hey, what we've got in black and white isn't going to continue. We've got plenty of time to think it through and negotiate, and we're going to have some requirements just as they have had requirements in the past. It's no more complicated than that.
Hi.
Hi, Peter. Unit 49, right?
Yes, I am. Pete Baragona from Unit 49. First of all, I want to say thank you. It's not easy to sit on a board. I've done it many times, and I'm in a very limited capacity representing Easy Riders. Easy Riders manages its attendance very efficiently. We sign up for classes on a weekly basis, and we do it knowing that we're competing with our other members for those spots. We have 24 bikes. We only have 24 bikes in the group and one leader bike, making it 25. What I would ask is that as you're doing this, knowing that there are clubs that are managing their capacity and their competitiveness with HOA1, that you give us a voice, so to speak, a way to improve the finites of what you need to do, and I fully expect that you're going to do what you need to do. I fully appreciate that you're going to do what you need to do. But know that there are some, let's call them clubs, that have managed their capacity efficiently and consequently don't need you to come between us and our club members. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
I would like, Paula Arnold, 44A, Lot 19. I would like to commend the board members for your hard work this year. I can see great promise going forward as opposed to other boards in the past. I have a couple of questions. One is about the golf course at HOA 1 being exempt. I'd like a clarification for that because being on our welcome committee for 44A and B, one of the new members, new residents, said to me that they were told that HOA 1's golf course was private. A different term than I've heard in other conversations. And so you're saying that it's exempt. I'd like for you to explain that a little bit more as far as what is exempt?
So what a reciprocal agreement essentially tries to establish is that we do not discriminate between a person that owns a house over here versus a house owner over here for any of the amenities. Certain things, as Mona mentioned, but I focus on golf because that's the big kahuna, okay? Golf is exempted. Now, as far as I can tell, HOA 1 through this point has treated renters, homeowners in HOA 2 equally with HOA 1, but they're not obligated to. They are in a position to be able to manage things best for the benefit of their membership. And that's, I'm sure, a balancing act because I'm going through that right now with the golf committee. I wear several hats. The balancing revenue versus people not being able to get tee times is, I'm sure, something that they look at all the time, certainly every year. We're looking at it and we don't have the compaction that they have. There's nothing in the existing reciprocal that would stop them, legally anyway. Economics are a different issue. There's nothing stopping them legally from saying, we're not taking any more of your annuals next year.
Okay.
Okay? Now, they've been doing this since 2021, and it's been invisible. Most people that are even annuals over there don't realize that it was exempt from the reciprocal. So it's not using that as like an example. The world doesn't come to an end because there's not a reciprocal, particularly on a big asset like that. And again, I don't want to get into negotiating against ourselves or sharing possible outcomes, but there's a myriad of possible outcomes, and that golf example demonstrates that you can still have commingling of residents using things to an extent, even without a reciprocal. So it's not the sky is falling even under a complete failure to reach a new agreement.
So they're not turning down annuals from HOA2 residents, they're not turning down tee times, they're just in a position to be able to turn everybody down.
That's a fair summary.
Okay, and I think that was it. I had another question, but you know, it'll come back around.
Janet, you have another?
Janet Fabio again. I just want to say I fully support what Peter said about some of the clubs already having systems in place that really manage the capacity. The two I'm familiar with, tennis and Easy Riders, you know, we all pay the same member dues. How would you give priority to someone, say, well, you're from HOA1, so you're not as equal? I mean, I'm not quite sure how that would work out. It's just something to consider. We all pay the same dues. And as far as the libraries, too, I mean, we're, you know, I would basically say, leave us alone. We're managing just fine. We don't have an issue with this unless you're seeing something that I'm not aware of. And also, our system wouldn't have a way to prioritize serving people from one HOA versus another. Thank you.
Again, we don't want to go through what ifs because it's kind of negotiating against the interests of our membership. But the golf example, I think, demonstrates on a very large scale compared to pottery or whatever. And we just need to step back and say, you know, it's not, the heavens are not crashing down upon us. All this is we're giving notice that the legal document is going to have to change for it to roll beyond September of 2029. And we want to get cracking, working with HOA1 to try to find compromises that hopefully will work for their best interests and ours. And the other side of it, I'm a pretty serious poker player. I like the cards we're holding better than they're holding, okay? It's gonna work out as long as HOA1 appreciates what we bring to the table, okay?
I would like to add, I did have breakfast with Tom last week, this week, somewhere, and I disclosed that I have a special interest in the fact that, yes, we are one community. My brother lives in HOA1, and of course I live here, so in HOA2, and so I do want us to be one community. I belong to the Sonoran Singers, which has members from both, and we want to continue, and we will look to do that, and we're just looking out for the interest of the members in HOA2 on constrained resources. If library isn't constrained, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Thank you.
Paula Arnold again, 44A, Lot 19. So Dale just explained private, that HOA1 does not allow outside play on their golf course. Is that correct? Okay, so it is private from that standpoint. Now, when I talk to new people, I can explain that to them. Thank you.
I believe their restaurants are also private. Really? Yes, they are private.
They only allow Saddlebrook people to use them as of now.
Chuck Kelsey, Unit 29 again. The motion, I guess I'd like to see the motion go one step further, and that is, when do we pull in the dispute resolution clause? Our attorneys, it appears, saw this coming when they wrote the dispute resolution section. It talks about negotiation, good faith. It also talks about how we get into mediation, how it's administered, how the mediator would be selected, and what happens if after 4 months there's no agreement. We don't automatically go from resolution using a a mediator in the legal situation. It doesn't say that. It becomes our call if we're not satisfied with the mediation results as to whether we proceed. And finally, the last sentence says mediation costs are split equally between 1 and 2. So it seems to me as though there's an interim step in here that we ought to be taking and spelling out now.
I don't believe we're in dispute
We're
at
not
this
in
time.
dispute.
We may be, and if we are in dispute, this ought to be the next step, and we ought to know that now.
No. What a dispute
Not
would,
now.
what a dispute in my mind would entail is if we thought HOA 1 was not giving people trying to get reservations in the restaurant from HOA 2 equal ability to get a table. That would be a dispute. What we're talking about is not a dispute. What we're talking about is we do not like the agreement. And the lawyer, after 2 meetings with the lawyer via, over a screen, this is the approach that makes the cleanest sense in that we're giving you notice, it's not going to roll over as is, we need to get to work.
At what point would it become a dispute?
When we have a dispute.
We don't have a dispute.
Let me,
They are complying with the agreement. We are complying with the agreement as it is now.
Okay, all right.
So
Okay.
let me put a bow on this for you. So everybody gets this. This board has agreed to take exactly the same steps as our board took prior to the 2021 agreement. We followed the guidelines within the agreement, and we notified HOA 1 that the agreement as it currently exists would not renew. The precedent has already been set. The process has already been executed. All we're doing is trying to get the process started so we have plenty of time to create the community that you all are articulating. By the way, I just got to remind you, Peter, where are your bikes sitting today? Where were they sitting 3 years ago? We have worked hard to deal with every amenity in this community to provide maximum opportunity within the constrained resources available to us. 3 years ago, you weren't in the Rincon room.
Okay.
And so you have to remember that the actions of this board are standing on the shoulders of the boards and the actions that have gone previously. And a lot of work has been done to try to mitigate issues and concerns by our residents. Guess what? We got issues that nobody anticipated in 2021, and we want to address them.
And I'll just make a clarification.
Thank you.
We've not executed it until we do the vote, then the letter would go.
Understood.
So the letter would go if we vote affirmative. Okay?
Mike Lean, Unit 32. Darren, I think, has more HOA experience than most of us. I'd like to hear his opinion on some of this. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Well,
So, there's been a lot of discussion about what to do and how to approach some of these concerns, right? And there's a contract that's signed by both parties. So there's an expectation that both parties agree to those terms. What's going on right now is the board's taking a look at the future and saying, look, the way the agreement's written, we don't think it's equitable. And according to the terms of the contract, we're going to go ahead and give you your year's notice. It says notice must be given if we have no intentions to renew that contract 1 year before its expiration. That doesn't mean that we can't do it now, so that's what we're doing. We're giving them notice and trying to get them to come to the table and perhaps create a more equitable agreement for HOA 2 residents. Because like they said here today, the fiduciary responsibility this board has is not to HOA 1 particularly, it's to HOA 2 residents. So the efforts the board is involved in now is just trying to achieve that, that's all. So hopefully, common minds will prevail, and there'll be an agreement, and it'll be mutually equitable, and we'll move on as one community. We'll just have to wait and see.
Any other comments? I'll call for the vote. All in favor of the motion? Any opposed? The motion carries. Now we're on to the member comment. Now, if you have comments about other things we talked about, Bill's still here. He said if you had any questions for him or other comments, please do come up and address us with your name and unit.
Cash Stripling, Unit 33. Sadly, we had a street, one of the members on our street passed away the last couple of weeks. It's always sad. And I'd like to the COO and the board, we need to keep pushing for everybody to get their emergency contact information on the line, because that's the second one we've had in 6 months, and finding somebody is extremely difficult. And so thank you for all the help on the last one. Thank you for the one last week. But that emergency contact information, I know you put it in the Monday flyer, but I bet you there's still 500 or 600 families that have no information if they drop dead in their house. So thank you for that. Second thing is on the mini mart. We lost our doctor a year and a change ago, and nobody's decided to come back. So everybody in Saddlebrook that went to Dr. Daly is now driving 30 or 40 minutes each way. I don't know if you use the dry cleaners, but I went to put dry cleaning in, and the dry cleaners is not accepting any more laundry. And their rack is only about 20% full, and they're asking everybody to come pick up their stuff. I'm afraid if the board doesn't get involved, the CO doesn't get involved, we're not going to have a laundry soon. So we're going to drive, 20 minutes down the road back. Somebody needs to call Mr. Robeson and say, Mr. Robeson, you own that mini mart, and we'd like it used by the laundry, by a doctor, etc. I mean, what closes next? I mean, the PT place, you have to be hurt 3 weeks ahead to even get an appointment over there. I mean, so what's working is busy. I know he's had that laundry 23 years, and he's going to retire. But we really need somebody to put a little pressure on the big guy to say, we'd really like our laundry. Thank you.
SPAC has helped us get some Ora Valley information about what we're lacking, and Darren will go ahead and contact the Robeson community, whoever's in charge there, and see if he can rattle their cage a little bit. Again, they own it, so. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay, hearing none. I adjourn this meeting at 3:44 p.m. and thank you all for coming, and have Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and a Happy New Year.